It's time for Remodel Revolution. And now, an award-winning contractor with over 40 years' experience. Here is Alex Guthrie.
Welcome to another episode of Remodel Revolution. I'm your host, Alex Guthrie. We're coming to you from the world headquarters of Remodel Revolution, from deep in the heart of the great state of Texas. We have no politics, we have no sports, and we have no mean people. I'm here with my very good friend and co-host today, Miss Poonam J. Patel with Urban Loop Studio in Dallas, Texas. Hello.
Good morning.
How are you?
Doing great.
That's awesome. Hey, today on Remodel Revolution is President's Day.
President's Day.
It's President's Day. We have as our guest Reena Morris with Century Glass. She is the president of Century Glass. We have Matt Mitchell, who is the president of James Andrew Custom Homes in Dallas. Now, that name is interesting because he named it after all of his third cousins. We have Poonam J. Patel, president of Urban Loop Studio, and Alex Guthrie, president of All Kinds of Things Important. So, so I'm so glad to see you today.
Good to see you too.
And you told me when you came in, you said, I want to interview you. So here's your first opportunity to interview me. What's your question?
My question to Alex this morning is, what inspired you to create Remodel Revolution?
Oh my gosh, man, that's serious. That's serious stuff. Hey, Remodel Revolution is a culmination of many, many years broadcasting that I've done on the radio. Actually, that's where I started around 2004. So we've been on the air a long time, and I kind of went in and out of radio for a while. At the 20th anniversary of the first show I was on with Chris Miles, we closed the doors, and I took a couple of years off, and then I got kind of rooked into getting back into radio. I was happily fishing. And I got talked into coming back to radio. I got on radio for a couple of years, Poonam, and then I decided that radio was sort of, terrestrial radio was just sort of kind of fading out as far as I could tell. I couldn't sell it or anything. And so I thought at the same time I was in there, I was doing the podcast or the vodcast and doing the show live on Facebook Live. So I decided one day, I just need to get into digital media. I just need to try it. And what really happened is I was going around different studios in Dallas, and I was interviewing, and they were all recording studios that had the facilities where they could record the podcast and do the video portion of it. But there was only one really interesting studio that showed interest in what I was doing and could actually accommodate what I was doing, and that's where we are now at On Air Media. And I've got to tell you, digital media is just exploding at the seams, particularly with the pandemic and people working from home and people really, learning what it is. Remodel Revolution came about when I was talking to my SEO about this whole thing. I'm driving down the highway, and my show had a different name, but I told her about a book that I've been trying to write for 2 or 3 years called Remodel Revolution. And she said, what do you think about just renaming your show Remodel Revolution? And I went, that's a great idea. Why did I think of that? And that's how we came to where we are today.
Very cool.
Yeah. It's a neat story, and it's been it's such a fun and joyous adventure for me, and I just love everything about it. I'm having so much fun with it, and it's turned into a completely different type of business in that we've been able to actually grow the business on the production side. So we're doing video series with other people and with our clients, with our sponsors. So It's been really a lot of fun. So let's get on with our show. How about that?
Sounds great.
So today I wanted to talk to a friend of mine, kind of a follow-up from our show with Phil Crone of the Dallas Builders Association. And this year's incoming president is a good friend of mine who's been on this show a couple of times. And the DBA, the Dallas Builders Association, made a fantastic decision by talking Matt Mitchell into coming in as the incoming president for 2021. I guess 2020, 2021. I don't know how they do that. Starts in September. Good morning, Matt Mitchell.
Good morning. How y'all doing?
We're doing really good. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing just groovalicious.
Groovalicious.
Moving along and waking up every day just fine.
So you got sort of blackmail. You decided that you wanted to take on the
lost
job.
a poker game big. I owed.
So you were the incoming president of the Dallas Builders Association, which is a large, dynamic group of business men and women in one of the hottest markets, maybe the hottest market in the United States. What in the world were you thinking? Now that you put it that way, Alex.
They lined a bunch of us up, and I noticed a butterfly flying around, and everybody else took a step back and said, "Oh, look, Matt's president."
So you got the short straw.
It's a hot market. It's crazy. It's an insane market. It's hard to understand exactly why. And talking with economists, no model for what's going on. It's crazy.
Nothing makes sense right now, does it?
Yeah, nothing works right. So we're figuring it out as we go. So it's kind of exciting time to be taking on something like this. Fortunately, the Dallas Builders Association is about 76 years old. I'm going to be the 78th president of the Dallas Builders Association. And it's a well-oiled machine. The staff for the Dallas Builders Association, every one of them is phenomenal. And they keep things moving along and kind of keep things rolling along. So it's not like it's something I do by myself by any stretch of the imagination. And
well, you get to interact nationally and statewide. So it's a big job because you're working with the Texas Association of Builders, TAB, and you're working with the NAHB, who you're going to become an important member or important part of during your term because it's Dallas.
Right. Yeah, we get noticed, and I think we're going to be noticed even more next year. You mentioned we're a large organization, and we have almost 1,100 members. One of the very few regions that over the course of this time, we really haven't lost many members. We've lost a few, but other areas around the country, some of the biggest areas, have lost tons of members. And so we're a tight group, and we really support each other and look out for each other best we can.
Well, and one of the strengths of the Dallas Builders Association is the community involvement that you have. Of course, I've been a member there for I don't know how long, since you were a little boy, and the expansion into community projects and community involvement has been really something to watch happen. Really, it's evolved over the last 10 or 12 years as I've seen it. And so you have a lot of things that are going to really be affected by this pandemic, car shows and all kinds of things that you guys do to raise money. How are you seeing the next 6 or 8 months in the market? You're also, of course, a highly respected custom home builder in Dallas and the surrounding areas. How do you see the next few months in business?
Everything seems to moving along. As far as me, the phone is continuing to ring. I'm starting to get a few more calls about people interested in I haven't been getting as much of that over the last few years, but I'm still getting phone calls from people that want to build houses. Some of them have been smaller houses, which is cool. Some of them have been, and I'm really excited about, have been very small houses. I haven't built houses this small before, in the 1,400, 1,800 square foot. I've never been against it.
What do you think's
No one's ever
driving that?
asked.
What's driving that? Is
You
it
know,
is it just
some of them
cost?
are empty nesters.
Okay.
And so they're downsizing. Some of them are younger folks that the rents have gone up and they don't want to rent, and just want to build something small, but something that they can expand. Let's design it in such a way that they can expand onto it later. So they have school debt and things like that. They want to get into it, pay their school debt, continue to work, maybe start a family, and then expand onto the house of what they already have. And I just think it's a great idea. I love doing that.
Yeah,
type
absolutely. Absolutely. And so, you know, we went through a time when money was cheap and things were a lot more affordable. I'm talking about 20 years ago, when people were starting out with their first house being a $350,000, $400,000 house. And these were young families, and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
That was pre 08. And so I hope those people all did well, but it sounds like there's a lot more pragmatism going on right now with some of these folks.
Yeah, I think people are stepping back and kind of trying to evaluate the landscape and figure out, do I need to do everything I've ever dreamed of at this moment? And maybe yes, maybe no. Some of my pipeline has certainly said, let's slow down. I may not have a job in 4 months, and let's just kind of see where we're at.
You know, we went through we go through periods, and we've both been through a whole lot of these, you know, ebbs and flows in business and in life, where everything looks like you're kind of, you know, there's no end to it. You can look up and you go, this will never end. This is going to be great forever. I'll just go ahead and make this giant commitment and never worry about it. Now we've been through all these different challenges, all of us have, and I think it's bringing out a more conservative view, maybe, of your future, more planning going on, like you said, where you're like, hey, I don't have to have that giant castle right now, but I'll build one I could turn into my castle if I want to later.
Yeah, particularly if you consider the millennial generation and maybe Z generation behind that. They weren't homeowners for the 2008 collapse, but they remember it. Many of them were part of families that had to give up their houses and things like that. So they're a little more reticent to get leveraged to their eyeballs trying to afford something they really don't need. And, you know, there's nothing wrong with building 3,000 square feet instead of 4,000 square feet or whatever. So I think the cooler heads prevail sometimes, and I think it's great. Why not?
Yeah, absolutely. So how do you see any changes coming to while you're the president, besides the wild parties and craziness you're going to bring to this thing? What's changing in the building industry as far as what you can see, or do you see something on the horizon, some dynamics changing for builders in the next year or so?
How are still going
Kind of losing you there, buddy.
to be 4 walls and a roof on. The biggest thing that affects the construction industry happens every 3 years, and it's about to happen again in 2021 when we get a new code cycle in. The building codes change every 3 years, and 2021 is the new code cycle. So there's going to be a fair amount of changes, particularly to the energy codes. Buildings will have to be much more energy efficient. They're going to have to be stronger. They're going to have to be all sorts of things. that's a good thing. Ultimately, there's the
Okay, we're
user in a great way. So that's probably
well. So when you have these big code changes and they're making them more energy efficient, they're adding more stringent structural things that you have to do for wind load and things like that. Then there's this sort of shakeout period where we're all having to adjust. You know, how do you make a house that we're already building really pretty efficient homes? They're certainly inspected and designed that way. And so now the thing is, how do we make them? Because what they do is all these cycles, and this is for our audience, every time we have this 3-year cycle of building code changes, they want to up the percentage of efficiency for our buildings, whether it's home or commercial or residential. And so the big challenge for people like Matt is, how do I do that? How do I reach that point? That's going to be really interesting to see evolve over time, and it'll benefit us all. And Matt, I want you to stay in control while you're the president of the Dallas Builders Association, and when you're traveling to Austin and you're traveling to these various places, DC, that they're going to send you, and they're going to send you to Vegas. Behave yourself, son.
I will indeed. I might get it really easy. So instead of being
we keep
sent to some of these places,
oh, you get to
might be
virtual
Zooming.
Yeah, that's no fun. I'd quit right now.
Yeah. Somebody gave me a bait and switch.
Hey, we really appreciate you taking time out for us this morning. It's been a great conversation. Good luck with your new adventure, and good luck in your business for next year, buddy. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thanks for having me on,
Sure.
Alex. It was a blast as always.
Thanks, buddy. Hey, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to turn it over to Poonam J. Patel of Urban Loop Studio in Dallas. And we're going to talk about Poonam's pandemic projects. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
The hardest working and arguably most important system in our homes is our air conditioning and heating system. It heats the air, it cools the air, and it filters the air. That's why it's so critical to have it checked and maintained by the very best professionals available. It's time to contact Total Air and Heat at totalair.com. Get that system pruned and tuned. If you want to have the very best experience, you've got to hire the very best company. Total Air's employees are honest, well-trained, and thoroughly background checked. I never have to worry about sending their technicians out to my clients' homes. Family owned and operated for 3 generations, Total Air and Heat has been a fixture in North Dallas for over 60 years. Total Air is a proud dealer of the Trane air conditioning systems, and you know how hard it is to stop a train, so give them a call at 972-881-0020. That's 972-881-0020, or contact them at totalair.com today.
So you've been stuck in your home for months now. You're maybe working from home. You have to put up with kids, dogs, husbands, and wives. And you actually are having to, maybe you're doing virtual meetings and you actually have to clean your office up. It's awful. But we have a solution. We have Poonam Patel. She is going to tell us how to glam up our life. Hello, Poonam. It's all yours.
Good morning and welcome to another episode of Poonam's Pandemic Projects. The purpose of this is to give you guys a few design tips of what you can do over the weekend to make life in quarantine more of a staycation. One of the first things that we started with was talking about how you can create cleaner air within your house through design and improve most people's allergy issues that we face in the summer. Another episode that we had talked about was how to create the perfect backdrop for your Zoom calls and create a better office environment for you through design. And then another one that we had discussed was how to create an extension of your house by incorporating your backyard. So check those out if you get a chance. We did those last week and the week before, so check out Alex's podcast from June and July. And today we're going to talk about how to glam up your space. So believe it or not, for a couple of $100, $20, $100, you can really put the finishing touches on your house. The first thing I want to encourage you guys to do is to make sure all the metals in your house match. All of the metals meaning the faucets, the cabinet hardware, the lighting fixtures. It creates such an impactful appearance when all of those things match. Think about it as if you're dressing yourself up in the morning. If you're a woman, you want your heels, your bags, your nails, and your lipstick to match. And if you're a guy, you need your belt and your shoes to match. So just think about the impact that has visually on your space if you just pay attention to that one thing to make sure that all the metals in your house match. The next tip I have for you is to pick your favorite color. Go to Sherwin-Williams online or Behr or any of these manufacturers who sell paint. Pick your favorite color and paint a wall. A bucket of paint could cost $20 to $50 depending on the quality that you get. And you just pick one wall, the room that you spend the most amount of time in, and paint it. Bring some life and color into your home. And that is an easy way to do it.
Hey, you know what Oops Paint is, right?
What's Oops Paint?
Oops Paint is when you go to one of the paint stores, and you can also do it in the big box stores, and they have some shelving that has mistakes that they've done, like a gallon of paint for $7 that somebody ordered and they didn't want, and it's just some, bizarre color, or maybe it's a great color. They just didn't want it. So that's a tip I just wanted to throw in there real quick. If you're thinking about doing that one wall, that's perfect. So you can just go get that 1 gallon of paint. Maybe it's $5. Who knows?
Wow, thanks for the tip.
Sure.
That's awesome. And if you're not sure that you want to paint the whole wall, you can always get like a smaller sample and test it out at your house and definitely see how that color impacts the actual room that you're in, depending on the quality of light and amount of light that's in your room. If you don't want to paint, you can always get wallpaper. I know some people cringe whenever they hear wallpaper, but there are some amazing wallpaper prints like this one that are available, and some of them even come in peel and stick now. So it's very simple. Just think of it like wrapping paper on Christmas. You just basically peel it off like a sticker and stick it on. And so I encourage you to do some research and look at some wallpaper prints that you could use instead of paint. And, there's always art that you could put on a wall. And not just any art. I encourage you guys to really look into getting large art, really large pieces. And not just large pieces, but pieces that help you feel good, things that bring good memories, things that, like for me, especially like, going back to the Zoom background calls, you can begin to see what people like and what they're interested, what sparks joy. So pick art that really, truly taps into your soul and helps you remember that peace and that calm and whatever emotion that is that you want to feel more often. So pick a wall in your favorite room, pick a paint, a wallpaper, or large art, and it'll do magic for you. Another quick tip I have for you is there's this interesting, I don't know if I should call him a craftsman or an artist, but he's based out of Dallas, and he does what he calls modern molding. So whenever we think about molding, we think about it in such a traditional form, like on the floor to close the gap between the floor and the baseboards, or we think of it as crown molding, or we think of it as wainscot. But if you look at this image, this is what modern molding is. And he does different colors, and then he can even do the protrusions a different color, like in gold accent. You can go to his Instagram page, Modern Wainscoting. I think he does a pretty good job of...
That's beautiful. I love that.
...creating some texture in the space. I think it's great, a great alternative to wallpaper or paint. So definitely look at his stuff. Another very quick and easy way to spruce up a space is through textiles. So textiles are throws, pillows, and not just any pillows. They have different sizes and shapes, like lumbar pillows. You know, you can get these fairly inexpensively on modern.com, Wayfair, Target, IKEA. And the key is to find colors that match. So if you get, you know, if your sofa is like a gray or a white color, then you want to make sure that the pillows and the throws allow some sort of splash of color, some character, some print or texture, and then that those things match, and that all of that ties the space in together. So you can see how fairly quickly you can glam up your space without spending so much money. I have a couple of more tips for you before we introduce our special expert guest. One of the quickest ways you can improve any space is by changing the lighting. When you go shopping for bulbs at Home Depot or Lowe's, you can get overwhelmed, but I'm going to make it very easy for you guys. There's one specification on the bulb that you need to look for, and that's kelvins. Kelvins basically cast a tint on everything in your house, from orange, yellow, natural daylight, all the way to blue. And basically what that ends up doing is, imagine if the difference of putting your sunglasses on and taking them off. It tints everything that you look at. A quick example is, here's a hallway with 3 different colors of light. On the left, it looks a little bit more white, traditional, tainted. And on the middle and right, it looks a little bit more crisp and fresh. And so I like to use the bright light, the 4,000 Kelvin. It gives it more of a crisp, fresh, not stale look. And just doing that, changing out the light bulbs, can really make your whole place look like it's renovated when really all you did was change the bulbs. And bulbs are how much, Alex?
They're not that expensive anymore. I mean, they were. The LED lights were pretty pricey, but they're not anymore. And Poonam's absolutely right. Now, we've had times when we look at paint colors, right? And you'll be looking at paint color and you'll go, man, that doesn't look anything like it did on the can. And then you change the light. Maybe you open the curtains. Maybe you close the curtains. And and then if you use the right Kelvin, the right color light, it's almost like painting the room in lights, what it is. And so that is a fantastic tip.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of my favorite things to do. In fact, I don't make any selections without looking at it under a 4,000 Kelvin light. I actually have a portable light that I cast on anything that I buy, or whenever I'm shopping for samples, and especially when showing it to the clients.
That's a great idea. Really, I love that. That's awesome.
So I have one more tip before I bust out the superpower. So I'm going to introduce you guys to a special guest here shortly. But before I introduce you to her, I want to share with you one of my favorite tips to glam up your space is to introduce crystals. So like pendant lighting, or a chandelier, or a wall sconce that has some crystal in it. This looks very simple. It looks very elegant. But what I love about this the most is that during certain times of the day when the sun hits it, it casts these aurora borealis kind of rainbows throughout your space and really makes you feel like you're in a cloud. It's so magical. I actually should have shared an image that I had of a client who sent me a video image of the prisms that were appearing all over her wall. And it happens really early in the morning, around 9:30. And then my last tip is to glam up the space through mirrors and through glass. And so I want to introduce you to my really, really good friend,
Right.
Reena. But before I introduce you to her, we have to go to a quick break, and I'll introduce you to her shortly.
Imagine this, a totally customized, organized, and beautiful master closet. A home office that fits right into a perfect space. A pantry designed specifically for your storage needs. Imagine your home totally organized. It's time to call the design professionals at Closets by Design DFW and turn your dreams into a reality. With a design staff over 30 strong, Closets by Design works directly with you to create your dream space, and they build build it locally, helping support the DFW community. Check them out at dallas.closetsbydesign.com or call them at 972-361-0010. Use the promo code RRV to find out about the amazing specials and discounts available. That's dallas.closetsbydesign.com or call them at 972-361-0010. And don't forget that promo code RRV, Closets by Design.
Welcome back to Poonam's Pandemic Projects, and I want to introduce you to my really good friend Reena with Century Glass, who has helped me glam up many of my spaces. Welcome, Reena.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
We're not able to see you on video.
Hold
We
on.
see your name.
Sorry.
There you are.
There you are. You're
Well-
more than just a name. Wow.
Welcome,
I'm real-
Reena.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And I loved working with you on your project. You have great ideas and did some very unique things. And I was so happy to be a part of it.
Thank you. I wanted to share your expertise with Alex's audience here with Remodel Revolution, because I was just blown away with your knowledge and how welcoming you were to me, and your ability to explain to me your products and how you can help people glam space up through your products. So I'll let you take it away.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'll first go into the mirrors. We were talking about with the COVID, a lot of people are at home and they're experiencing things and they're looking at things in their homes and they're wanting to do things actually, since they're spending so much time. Office, of course, and mirrors, bathrooms, and kitchens have been a big project of ours. Now with yours, we did the bronze mirrors. You came in and I showed you the different mirrors: clear mirrors, bronze mirrors, gray mirrors, black mirrors. And we also have antique mirrors. So depending on your style and what you're wanting to go with, those are different ways you can express your taste by using mirrors. And mirrors also brighten your space up, and that gives you a whole nother look. We do mirrors with bevel strips. We do all kinds of creative ideas. Like you had creative idea with the bronze mirror, putting it on top of bronze mirror tiles, which was beautiful. And you can put holes in mirrors. You can do all kinds of things to it as well to make it more decorative, and to include hardware if you want to put like a towel bar like you did on your project. I wish I had pictures of your project because it turned out so beautifully, and your other projects, but unfortunately we'll have to do that on another interview.
So Reena, on the mirrors, staying on the mirrors, we used to do a lot of two-way mirrors and put TVs behind them and stuff back in the 70s and 80s, back in the day. Are you still doing things like that?
Yes, that is mirror pane. It's not used as much anymore, but yes, you use them for TVs or offices where they want to watch maybe their employees or people and not be watched from the other side. You have to be very careful with mirror pane, because where the brightest light is where the reflection is. So people think it works both ways. It does. But when the light is reversed, then it reverses the mirror reflection. And people don't realize that a lot of times.
That could be scary.
It will can be. You got to use it in the right application. So if it is an office and you have a brighter light above the mirror on the outside, so at all times they cannot see you, but you can see them.
I absolutely love that the different variety that you carry of mirrors. Typically when I go shopping for mirrors, it's pretty straightforward and simple. Here's a mirror. But when I came to your showroom and I saw rose gold mirror, my brain exploded. Rose gold. Rose
Yes.
gold, it's amazing.
There's all, and we can get all those different kinds of special orders, but we can get those. So if you come up with something, we can take care of it for you.
Is this a dynamic change in mirrors over the last few years, or 10 or 12 years, where it seems like we used to just have a real limited selection on colors? It was kind of like you could get, clear or some sort of smoked or some sort of a bronze, anything that had metallic finish.
Well, they've become more affordable. You could always get some of those mirrors in the past, but because they're manufacturing them more, they're becoming more affordable. With COVID, like I said, the mirrors, a lot of people have put gyms in their homes because the gyms were closed. So we saw a rise in phone calls, people ordering mirrors and picking them up from our office and providing us the sizes, and we could walk them through how to put it up. Or we also come out and do installations. But for someone that wanted to put a mirror in their gym and to provide something for them since they were at home, we saw an increase in our business a lot with mirrors.
So do you do you do those mirrors like in the house of mirrors at the state fair, where when they go in the gym and look at themselves, they're like tall and skinny?
We try not to provide any kind of mirrors like that. Only the kind that make you look better.
Well, what if you just need a good laugh?
Yeah.
We can do that too. Well, we can get you a distorted mirror, which would make you look like that if you want. I'll provide one for you if you need it.
Thank you. That would be helpful.
But with the mirrors, as well as people have been putting up shields like in their businesses for protective surface areas on desks and things. So those are the two biggest things that we've really had a lot of orders for with this last 2 or 3 months.
No, that's right. There's all these glass petitions, and every business you go in now, restaurants, everything has these petitions. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. So with that, and then doing other things, since people are at home, they are seeing like, oh, I'll take the glass out of my cabinets and change it because I've wanted something more decorative or something textured, or I'd rather put a mirror up as a backsplash somewhere, or a back painted. We do back painted glass that is any color you want. You go to a paint store and supply us with the number and the manufacturer, and we get a sample made for you. And it's painted on and baked onto Starfire glass. Starfire is a low iron glass. Glass is usually called clear, which has a green tint. But if the other type of glass is called Starfire, it's beautiful. And a lot of people use it for tables or when they want to have the true colors come through, like if they have fabric going underneath it. And so they back paint this material, Starfire. It's baked on, and we use it as a splash back painted, goes in, countertops. We use it for tables. So people have used it for in their showers and behind the cabinetry area for color. And it's really pretty because you can just wipe it clean. So that's another thing. So people have, I guess, been looking on the internet and stuff and seeing ideas. Of course, they send us some ideas and I go, that's not doable. But if you want it done, we can make it happen. And we don't try to sell anybody anything that we don't feel like is the right fit or the right application. Like I said, our business has been in existence since 1945. It's a family business. My husband's family started it, and my husband and I run the business with our incredible team. So
I have a question about the painted, what do you call it, the painted glass?
Back painted.
I
have these right
Is
here.
that a local product? Is that something that's done locally, or are you having to order these things, and is there a big time delay? Like on a lot of products, because of the pandemic, there's been a lot of delays in getting things. Is this a local product?
Yes, this is a local product that is produced. It takes 4 to 6 weeks to produce it. We do not produce it, but our supplier does. Mm-hmm. But you're right, with this, everything going on, expecting products and stuff, we're having the most problem, I think, with metal for storefront. We do commercial work as well. And so I think the metal is getting held up. But we are having some delays in glass as well, but not within a couple of days, mm-hmm. because it's all local. We get everything fabricated here, and then we pick it up or they bring it to us. So for showers and stuff like that.
How much of this do you think is just a volume issue? Because there seems to be so many more, like you say, people are staying home, and this is what Poonam's whole program is about. People are staying home and they're finding projects to do. And so if you go to one of the big box stores right now, you don't just see guys like contractors, you see husbands and wives. Usually the husband is pushing the basket, and it's actually kind of cool, I think, to see couples actually doing things together again, which is kind of is sort of a change from 6 months ago.
Yes, that's interesting. Saying on families and couples, I have lately seen a lot more men come to our office to pick out an antique mirror or something for their home, which blows my mind. I would never allow my husband to pick out anything for our home, but anyway, but they are the ones that are thinking through the details and everything, and it's just fascinating that these women would allow their husbands to make these decisions alone. But
they're just trying to get them out of the house, Reena. They're like, you go shopping.
You're smart.
Get out of here.
That's very smart. Maybe that's why they're sending them out.
Well,
to
they're putting those mirrors in their man caves.
Yeah.
Reena, I have a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
What is a way that you wish that people would request your products? What is one way that you feel like the products that you provide, the mirrors and the glass and all that, what is one way that you wish people would request your product or installation or have it fabricated?
I would rather them call our office. I love talking to people, and I can be on the phone forever. And phone call or email is either way to our office would be the best. Or we have a website as well that they can go to and send us a email through that.
Very nice. And then in terms of innovation and R&D, do you guys kind of just stick with what you know, or are you constantly pushing the envelope, trying to experiment with new and different ways that your products can be used?
We do try to experiment things, but we know that what we're good at, and we like to focus on that. Want to be very efficient, and I want to do a great job for our customers. And it's very, very important that our product is good. We stand behind our work. So I don't want to make us too broad that we can't cover all the angles. So if we're not 100% on something, we are not going to do it. I'm just telling you. And we do commercial and residential. And depending on what our workload is, like right now we have a project downtown, we're doing 600 showers, and we're a small family business. So we're coordinating both of those at the same time.
Wow.
So just depending on what our workload is at the time.
That's huge. That's huge.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, Reena. I really appreciate your time and your expertise, and I really love sharing you with everybody here because I know you're awesome. And
thank you.
Yeah, and that's a wrap for Poonam's Pandemic Projects. I hope you learned something amazing that you are inspired to do over the weekend to glam up your space, whether it's through mirrors, crystals, making all the metals match, throws and pillows and textures, or just paint or wallpaper. And I look forward to seeing you next week. I'm going to hand it back over to Alex.
What are we doing next week on Poonam's Pandemic Projects?
It's a surprise,
It's
as
a
always.
surprise.
Just make sure your weekend's open to do something
Yeah,
about these,
right,
implement
right.
these projects.
Well, I really appreciate it. I mean, this is so much fun. I'm having so much fun with this, and our audience loves it. Our audience is really utilizing our podcast. They love the podcast. I'm getting great reviews on that. And then, of course, we're on Facebook Live, and it's replayed on Facebook. We are on all of the major social media website. We're on Pinterest and Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Go to our YouTube channel. Remodel Rev is our Twitter. @ Remodel Rev is our Twitter account. Remodel Revolution on YouTube and on Facebook. And you can see a replay of this. If you have any questions, we would love it if you would send us an email or contact us on Facebook. I've been getting a lot of responses on the YouTubes as well, a few, and it's just so much fun, and we really appreciate you, our audience, so much. Poonam and I are having a great time, and it's a lot of it because of you and the responses that we're getting from you. And thank you, Poonam, for a really great show today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you, Matt Mitchell, with Andrew, what?
President.
Yeah, President Matt Mitchell, with the soon to be the president of Dallas Builders Association. I'm sorry, I drew a blank on the name of his company. And thank you, Ziggy Becker, our engineer and our boss in the studio. And of course, as always, thank you, On Air Media. We love working with you. And mostly, thank you to our sponsors. We love you, and we hope you're having as much fun with us as we are with you. Until next week, this is Alex Guthrie signing off. Have a good week. We'll see you in a week.
The views and opinions of this program are for educational and entertainment purposes only and are not intended to replace the recommendations of a hired professional. You can catch Remodel Revolution anytime. Follow the show on the website, remodelrevolutionradio.com, or on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest, using the handle @Remodel Revolution Radio. You can always listen to the show on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and TuneIn, and watch the show anytime on YouTube.